Tonight on CTV, hear about how recent Fort Collins crimes has resulted in fires taking over the town.
And did you know that the city of Fort Collins tracks you through Bluetooth?
All this and more tonight on CTV. Good evening, Rams. I'm JJ McKinney.
And I'm Abby Flores. Thank you for joining us tonight.
The Poudre Fire Authority has been working hard the past few weeks as there has been a rise in business and house fires.
This has led to fatalities and displacements for members of the Fort Collins community.
6 Fort Collins community members have been displaced, 2 people are hospitalized, and 1 dog has passed away due to an apartment fire earlier this week. The Poudre Fire Authority arrived to the 12,000 block on East Stewart Street early Tuesday morning to find a 2-story multifamily apartment building engulfed in flames. 2 people were sent to the hospital for unknown injuries. However, when first responders were able to enter the unit where the fire began, they found a dog who had passed away in the flames. Residents living on the ground floor were able to return to their apartment complexes. However, the 6 living on the second floor have been displaced from their homes. The Red Cross is currently working with residents who lost their apartments.
A Fort Collins man is accused for burning down a 7-Eleven after threatening suicide in someone's backyard. Police responded to reports of a man making suicidal statements in the back of a Fort Collins resident's backyard. However, when officers arrived to the scene, the man had left. The suspect made his way to the 7-Eleven on Remington Street and broke a window to get into the convenience store. He then threatened an employee with a rock and damaged the store before barricading himself inside. Once inside, the man then set an item on fire, which set the store in flames. Poudre Fire Authority eventually put the inferno out, and a Fort Collins SWAT team eventually subdued the suspect. The suspect is facing multiple charges, including felony arson. His identity has not yet been released to the public.
An ongoing investigation is underway following a house fire on February 7th that resulted in investigators finding human remains inside the home. Fort Collins Police and the Poudre Fire Authority were called after flames engulfed a home in the 2000 block of Churchill Court in southwest Fort Collins. Authorities have not ruled out foul play, and investigators have arrested a man who was wandering around the burning home. The man had warrants for his arrest and an active protection order prohibiting him from being near the house. He was booked into Larimer County Jail on February 7th. The woman who lived in the burned home has not been reachable. A Fort Collins police spokesperson mentioned there will be a multiple possible update on the case later this week.
A fatal case has shocked many in the Fort Collins community. A mother has been sentenced after her 6-year-old son shot himself. The incident occurred last year on April 10th when Roy Summer found a gun in his home and shot himself. Rosanita McCall, the mother of the young boy, pleaded guilty to felony child abuse, resulting in death this past Tuesday. According to the district attorney's office, a misdemeanor charge was dismissed as part of a plea agreement that requires a 12-year community corrections sentence. Authorities said McCall left the gun out where her children could access it. Her husband, Ronald Matthews, was already sentenced in October after pleading guilty to tampering with physical evidence. This case has raised questions on firearm ownership in the community and safety when it comes to securing weapons.
2 people have died this past week due to biking incidents. The first incident occurred on Sunday at around 1 in the afternoon at the intersection of South LeMay and Centennial. Fort Collins Collision, Restriction, and Scene Handling Team, also known as CRASH, determined that the driver had the right-of-way because of the stop sign on Centennial Road. Not even 24 hours later, a second bicyclist was found dead after being struck by a minivan at the intersection of McMurray and the East Harmony Road. According to the driver and multiple eyewitnesses, the 2014 Toyota Sienna had the right-of-way. Both bikers were rushed to the hospital, but later passed due to their injuries. The identities of the victims are not yet known to the public. If you or anyone you know has any information about either of these crashes, you are encouraged to call Officer Brandon Barnes at this number. Now, live in the studio, we have Adam Carlson, here to give you this week's Weather Rundown.
Thanks, guys. Being back to cold temperatures has been a welcome addition by many students here. But will this wintry weather stay, or will we return to our 50-degree bliss? Current conditions, we have 25 degrees out, clear skies, and 48 as our humidity with just 5 miles per hour of wind. Love is in the air, but so is Greeley. The unwelcome smell is predominantly present in Fort Collins in winter times. This is as a result of a northeastern wind blowing the smell across the Front Range, only to fly over to us here in Fort Collins. While it's unavoidable to catch the occasional whiff, Greeley has been working hard over years to hopefully eliminate the smell of their stinky reputation. Now, for tonight's lows, we're going to see down the I-25 corridor around low teens. But everywhere else on the map, we've got single digits or lower. Craig hitting us with -13, Gunnison -21, Telluride even giving us an avalanche warning if you're planning on skiing. But tomorrow's highs will warm up a bit. We have 40s and 50s down the I-25. When we look at the western plains, it's going to be 30s, 20s, Gunnison at even 16. And then once we're on the eastern side, we have 40s and 30s. And what can you expect for tomorrow? It's going to be 49 as our high, 25 as our low. Generally kind of sunny out and a little humid. Again, with just a tiny bit of wind and sunset at 5:37. But what can you expect for the weekend? It's going to be pretty cloudy. Saturday through Monday, we just have clouds, high 40s, low, mid-50s on Monday. But then once we come into Tuesday we might get some rain, 50 is our high, and then Wednesday we'll get another snowstorm. And that brings me to the end of my weather forecast for you all tonight. Stay tuned because JJ and Abby will be back with more news after the break. Stay safe, Rams.
Black History Month is a time to celebrate some of the world's most influential figures and the contributions they have made to uplift black voices. Now, CSU has been given the opportunity to host one of those figures, as Black Panther Party co-founder Bobby Seale is here to spread his activism to the university. The community had all eyes on one of the most prolific figures of the 20th century, as Black Panther Party co-founder Bobby Seale captivated them with his life story. With humble beginnings from a segregated Liberty, Texas, Seale knew that he had to get out and get educated. This took him to the historically black Merritt College, where he joined the Afro-American Association.
No black history being taught. You have to understand, it's 1950, 1960, no black history was taught. You know, so African American history was my key.
It was here, where Seale was learning the history and culture of black and African American people in the United States, that he had a fateful encounter with future Black Panther Party co-founder Huey P. Newton.
Write papers, why are you going to write? Because you know my friend Huey, he's going to law school now. He can't write.
A short time after, Seale and Newton would work together to form the Black Panther Party. The party is well known for ideas that promote black nationalism and the liberation of the black community in the form of the 10-point program. This program led the party to holding national protest, fighting against issues concerning discrimination, socioeconomic inequality, and the push for socialism, and police brutality against black people.
Control the police as a tax to capture the imagination of the people. I don't want to be sitting around here trying to make speeches for 5 years to get an organization going. I want to get it instantly now.
From his trials with the Chicago 7, free and reduced lunch programs, and civil disobedience outside of state capitals, Bobby Seale has lived a life dedicated to the black community.
You cannot run around here talking about black power this and boom, boom, boom this without having some political seats. I capture the imagination of the people. Then if I can put a periodical out, I can unify them.
Bobby Seale is one of the many activists during the Black Power era of U.S. history. To learn more about him or others like him, visit this link below to see just how much Black and African Americans created and sacrificed in the fight for civil rights.
Winter storms can often get heavy in Colorado, leaving many college campuses buried in ice and snow. While this has caused inconvenience for a handful of students, it has especially been a challenge for students with disabilities. The Fort Collins and CSU community has been trying to plow and de-ice certain areas, but students on wheelchairs and crutches still find it difficult to move around certain paths covered in ice and snow. According to an article on the Collegian, student and member of ASCSU Adrienne Athe hopes Fort Collins will invest in clearing more roads and walkways for students who have trouble getting around during the winter months.
It's been almost 3 years since CSU's Student Disability Center shut down their doors to the LSC office due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Now they are back open to serve the disabled community on campus. Room 223 on the ground floor of the Laurie Student Center is now open as a common space for students and faculty with disabilities. The office space is used for students to wind down and decompress. The lounge includes a coffee machine, quiet workspaces, couches, and a flat-screen television. The SDC office is also looking to expand the space and include computers and other disability-friendly technology.
Joe Tyner, the SDC Assistant Director for Access and Accommodations, said the reopened office, quote, allows students who might be overstimulated by the large crowds and noise level in the LSC a place to go and decompress. The lights are LED and dimmable, which can really be helpful for those who do not like fluorescent lights.
There is another office space for the Student Disability Center, which is located in the Tilt Building, where students can meet with advocates, obtain accommodations, and take tests.
Amy Parsons has officially made her television debut as the 16th president of Colorado State University, and she did not hold back. Parsons addressed the concerns about how some members of the CSU community did not find her qualified for the position. Parsons said in a CBS interview about her that she, quote, totally understands where they are coming from. All I can do is be in their corner and promote them, support them, and empower them. They will learn that it is who I am over time, end quote. Parsons also discussed how she plans to earn the trust of her staff and that she's honored to serve the RAM community as she was once a CSU student herself.
Resume building, networking, and meeting with business professionals is what hundreds of CSU students were doing earlier this week. The CSU community recently hosted its annual all-campus career fair, where students of all majors and years of study were able to gather around the student center and connect with employers. For many, this was a great opportunity to seek internships, part-time jobs, and off-campus positions.
And then you're going to pull this end.
Yesterday, the LSC was buzzing with activity as students exchanged resumes and business cards with employers at the CSU All-Campus Career Fair. This annual event is hosted by the Career Center, a place that helps students build portfolios and find a professional path.
We'll get hundreds of employers to come here, they'll set up a table, and then students can kind of just walk around and network, they'll give them their resumes, and a lot of people get jobs or internships from them.
I went up there just to check out different opportunities both for the summer as well as hopefully things that turn into full-time roles. Me specifically, I'm looking for data science positions within the financial services industry, so I'm definitely looking to talk at some of the bigger banks as well as some of like the research and development side of things. So yeah, and there were a couple of companies up there that I talked to, got a couple information, a couple phone numbers, and people that I can connect with on LinkedIn. So it's definitely a great networking experience for me.
There were several opportunities for every major yesterday, and the fair was especially resourceful for those seeking interpersonal work relationships beyond a screen.
Education is important. College is all about, getting a job and getting experience, and that's really one of the most important parts of, getting out there and finding your career.
We're in our element, everybody knows the LSC. Having that sort of community of just other students around and like people that we know, it definitely makes it a lot more personable. And obviously all of the companies that we talk to, they're super approachable. It's just cool to see that CSU has such a strong workforce background that are willing to come to our campus to come talk about their industry.
The CSU Career Fair helps students explore different career paths and potential employers. It is great to see that CSU has connections with different companies, and we wish all the students best of luck in their future endeavors.
Did you know the City of Fort Collins tracks you through Bluetooth? The City of Fort Collins Department of Traffic Operations is using the Advanced Traffic Management System to navigate the streets of the city. The system, nicknamed the ATMs, does this by connecting the Bluetooth signal coming from your mobile device to track the different travel patterns of different vehicles. This allows traffic engineers to monitor the city's transport system and modify things like green light time in order to make faster commutes. The Department of Traffic hopes that this technology will help drivers all over Larimer County. Those who want to learn more about the way the city's traffic works, the city gives tours and information at the Traffic Operations Center. Now, live in the studio, we have our very own Ali Niaz here to tell you about CSU's very own Dead Poets Society.
Thanks, JJ. Poetry is a popular written and spoken art form that can be used to express ourselves. Have you been itching to share some of your poetry? Well, don't worry, because there's a club here at CSU that's perfect for poets of all shapes and sizes.
Captain, my captain.
Though no one stood up on a desk to declare their admiration for a teacher, the Dead Poets Society club meeting was just as entertaining as the movie.
It's crazy for you, and you cooled my mind.
Dead Poets Society is a club here on campus where students get together to share their poetry.
I think this club is important. It's just a space to share something that interests you. You know, we get some people coming in just reading lyrics from songs. Some people read clips from movies, but to them it's poetry, and to them it's a place to share that.
The community of this club was something that everyone spoke very highly of.
I think the community is really special. We're all here to share the same thing, and you know, it's cool to see people from different majors come and express themselves.
This allows everyone to express their own poetry and what they find beautiful or true.
You're putting a lot out there depending on the experience you're putting out. And this group takes it with so much grace and love and really just loves on each other.
During her sophomore year, club president Isabel Hood was baffled when she learned that there was no poetry club.
Where's the poetry club? And I had gone on Ramlink and had seen that there was at one point a Dead Poet Society, but that it no longer existed. And so I was like, well, why isn't there one? And got it all kind of set up.
Club advisor Professor Dan Beachy-Quick spoke on the importance of poetry.
It allows you to put words to things inside yourself that you thought were wordless. And there's a really deep kind of therapy in that. You know, I think there's a real kind of healing, in part because it becomes a mechanism by which you realize you're not as alone as you fear you might be.
While the Dead Poets Society Club is not exactly like the Robin Williams classic, the club meeting was inspirational to say the least. Stick around though, because after this break, we have Madeline Davis here to give you a little update on how the Rams are holding up against SDSU on the West Coast.